Hey,
Hey,
we did it.
it's happening.
It's
Like
happening.
This is podcast number 1.
We've been talking about this for several hikes and
Yes.
several years up many mountains and many miles.
Power Team Parrot. Uh-huh.
We're caffeinated. We've been to the gym. We've embarrassed my children, which is an amazing way
Facts.
to start every day.
On social, so it's legitimized.
Legit.
It's totally legitimized.
It's legit teenage embarrassment.
We're not here to mess around.
No.
I mean, at the end of the day, enough of that. It's go time.
What are we here to do?
I have no idea, but we're going to just hit record and see what happens.
We're here to make an impact.
We're here to make an impact on everyone. Crush everything.
We're here to have a forum to tell a story and hopefully inspire other people, other families.
I think, yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you get down to it, it really is. I think we have a story to tell. I mean, this has been a journey. We have, as a team, brother and sister, going through life. There have been I think that's a unique story that is not stopped. Right? It keeps going.
It keeps evolving.
100%. I mean, everything that happens from the last, the first memory I have to this morning, it's just surreal in those moments where I find myself going, "Oh,
how did I get so lucky?"
Right? Yeah. How did I get and luck? Talk about. I mean, you start talking about like, here's my life and here's what we did, and I think so many people are like, that's not luck, right? And like, actually, that's a really tough, bad idea, like journey through life, and thank God you made it here.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Well, and I think
no one understands any. We're just sort of throwing out these vague hooks in the water.
We're gonna get there.
We'll get there.
I want to start with, and I can't help myself. I love the seat of host, but this is going to be a two-way conversation. But I want to start with the one thing that everyone says about us. And when you get the two of us in the room, it is like, almost a tidal wave of positive energy.
Facts.
There's only one person I know who can level me up.
Let's go.
Stratospheric positivity and energy. Where do you think it came from? Why is that our shared connective tissue?
I know, right? Because I have my sort of canned responses to that because I get it all. I get it in the office. I get it in the environment. When I'm working, and I often will attribute it to a lot of the scars. But at the end of the day, you've got the same energy that I've got, right? And your scars, albeit I know they're in there, it's not the same path, right? Like, it's easy for me to wave a flag of like, oh, I tried to ruin my life.
I mean, my scars are like Care Bears singing on rainbows.
Right,
and yours are like the darkest, deepest moments.
Yeah. So it's not that. There's something that was ingrained in us. And I think we can attribute it to so much into the influences of our parents. Yeah. I mean, when you get down to it, we had such a dynamic, interesting wave of parenting, lack of parenting, over-parenting, weird parenting, that I think showed us this way of life that, maybe it wasn't the best, but it gave us, where everyone's a teacher.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's a teacher. The good stuff and the bad stuff. And I think the way that we were taught was truly what not to do and what was so magical.
I've thought a lot about this. We came from a parenting culture of victimhood, and we're both like anaphylactic allergic to victimhood.
Yeah, and it was interesting because throughout the time that I can remember, and I throw those caveats on because I did a lot of stuff to try to make me not remember, but in that time frame, throughout the victimizing and throughout all of that gross, just ugliness, there was almost this constant voice of, this isn't good, right? Like, I meet people that have these just trash parents that it's like, life is terrible, you're terrible, and that's the way it is. But that wasn't our jam. No. It was like, I'm sinking, don't sink, right?
Right, we had the two biggest cheerleaders.
Oh,
so it was like
to a fault.
they were consumed by, whether it's guilt and unrealized dreams,
Addiction,
and
depression, shame.
codependency.
Hold on, let me get the DSMR.
Exactly what's going through. But at the same time, what we heard really as a consistent drumbeat from both of our parents was, I certainly am, the 80s testimony to you can do anything, you can be anything. Don't be like me. Go after your dreams. You're strong, you're capable, you're amazing. You're the greatest gift that's ever come into, existence.
Without question.
Without question.
It was like they were drowning and holding us above the water.
Yeah. That is the most beautiful visual of it.
Like constantly. It was, and the whole time, I can remember, I'm going to get like emotional during this, right? But there was those times where I felt like, Mom, Dad, I can swim. Freaking let go. Like come up to the surface. Like there's so much here, but that wasn't their jam. It was like, no. Their cross to bear was to just no, I got you. I'm holding you up. And to a fault.
Well, and I think you got that more than I did.
Right.
I
the plane crashed around my 12 years old.
Exactly.
Like you can only carry the facade for so long,
right.
And eventually it ran out of gas and completely hit a mountain.
What was that plane that crashed in the Andes and everybody became cannibals? It was like
right.
that kind of plane crash.
100%. Shannon was like, off to Arizona.
I'm going home. Peace out.
Yeah. It's like, what am I gonna do? Shannon's always been there was a rock stabilization of her in any environment. Throughout all the energy and excitement and things going on, there was always like this drive and dedication that just sort of fills the air. Everyone's smiling, everyone's having a good time, but everyone knows like there's no effing around here, right? Like we're gonna get this done, and you've brought that to every environment. And when that element sort of removed itself from the household, like all of a sudden there wasn't, because I was a train wreck, right? And the whole thing just kind of fell apart, right? All the mortar's gone, right? Like we can no longer keep these bricks up. Yeah. And there we were, right? Yeah. And so we all found our ways to cope. Mine less healthy, but we got through. I don't know, is that a transition?
All right, so I want you to read that quote. You just
that
away, but I want you to read that quote because one, we're both big Ernest Hemingway fans, and two, because I just think it's. I don't know, it's a starting off.
Absolutely. And I'm one of those nerds that will just wake up in the middle of the night sweating and not knowing which way is up and start writing stuff, or just throughout the day. And this came up not too long ago. It says, "The world breaks everyone, and afterward many are strong at that broken places." Ernest Hemingway. Right, brokenness. That's my jam.
All right, so let's get into that because we certainly are living in a time where, as you said, it's not only those who are outwardly appearing broken, but there's brokenness kind of throughout, and it's as if the COVID pandemic kind of cracked that wide open.
It did. Absolutely. Listen, I've got every shirt with every logo when it comes to bad ego ways of living. How strong am I? How tough am I? How I'm going to keep this facade up so you'll never get past it, because it's the character that I created for the world to insulate me that I thought was keeping me safe. Every morning and every night, and inside was this just freaking kid crying his eyes out, scared to death, not knowing which way is up. And that brokenness, one of those hurdles in life that I think catapulted me into my journey, like really was when I finally realized that being vulnerable and being openly broken to everyone, like, you want to talk about it? Let's go. It's my jam. That I find it almost this, like, it levels the playing field, right? Like when I'm talking to people and next thing you know, I don't care if you flew in here on your private jet or if you drove the bus here. The moment I can just expose, I don't have my shit together.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and I'm not sure how I got here. That vulnerability and willingness to just be open with that authenticity, right? Like authenticity. Yeah, like that it makes things real. And I think we miss that. I mean, God, in this world,
right.
I'm gonna sit here and judge my insides by your outsides. Why is Betty so happy? Right? and
Betty's 3 bottles deep, like maxed out her Saks card.
Yeah. And then you get to know them, and next thing you know, you start to have that conversation about like, no, I'm a little scared. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's gonna work.
Right.
I don't know. It may not, but that's okay. Because, I'm finally at this place that, do I enjoy my success? Yes. Do I enjoy my family and everything? Yeah, it's great. But I know it's going to be okay. I've seen ugly, and I know what it's like to live life in a space where I'm constantly trying to not only trick you,
right.
but I'm every second trying to trick myself.
Right.
That's that internal dialogue. When finally I got to that place where it's like, no, it's okay. I'm broke, but we're gonna make it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that podcast 1, episode 1, we have to tell your story, our story.
Yeah. Where do you start? You'll have to start at the beginning because I don't really like Austin Road. Like, the only thing I remember from Austin, it's 100%, is Fast Times at Ridgemont High on some like shag carpet at like 1 a.m. It was the first time I saw boobs. That's Austin Road.
Let's hear. Considering that we left Austin Road when you were probably 6, that's an indication of
Go Fast Times.
The amount of restrictive parenting that you were subjected to. So
Cinemax, shout out.
We're the tale of 2 cities. So while I was, very high expectations with regards to performance and grades and showing up with a high degree of responsibility and accountability, and this, there's 6 years between us, and that kind of DNA footprint and parenting roadmap was very clearly articulated kind of from minute 1, day 1, especially because Mom and Dad didn't think they were going to be able to have any more kids. So it was like, I was it.
I was total surprise.
Yay.
Hey.
P.S. When I found out he was going to be born and my mother was expecting another child, I promptly moved out of the house and moved in with our grandparents for like 3 weeks.
Let's set the stage. Let's not pretend that you were wanted day 1.
I'm the center of the universe.
So good.
Yeah. So, the journey begins in the Puget Sound in the Pacific Northwest in Browns Point, Washington, and where it was clear that I was AP classes and prep school and cheerleader and athlete and doing all these things and empty the dishwasher and show up on time, and there was a lot of really which has benefited me greatly professionally speaking, but a lot of control around money and whoever holds the dollar holds the power. You were the exact opposite, which was from minute 1, day 1, faking sick like Ferris Bueller. I mean,
constantly lick the palms.
Totally, like sick from like the second you started going to school, an excuse made for every failure, everything, every decision not to show up, and it was like literally the tale of 2 cities.
Oh, I can remember a Christmas. There was a drawing contest. And literally, I got you to do the drawing, and I wrote my name on it and got first place. And I was like, that is so much easier. Right? Like, totally. Turns out that is so much.
Beat me in the drawing contest. He just needs needs a little bit of support.
Absolutely.
We'll just make one more excuse for it.
I can't do it. I'd wake up and like homework would be done. Oh, well, that's a lot easier.
Right. Well, I remember vividly, like, it was like, I got to empty the dishwasher and clear the table and all the rest of it. And it was like, will you bring this tray up to your brother's room so that he can eat his dinner?
I just couldn't walk. These legs. Oh, these poor
in
legs.
front of the TV in his room. And P.S. there was no phone allowed in my room. Like, it was the tale of two cities. It was all
truly.
about like setting this very high cadence of expectation for me, and 100% like, you're not capable.
Right.
So therefore, we're going to make every excuse in the book and bubble wrap you, because God forbid, anything happened to
Totally.
you. Or
Absolutely.
too fragile.
Yeah, and it was so weird because it was, for the record, I have no problems. I'm okay. Like, I could have got the dishes, but at such a young age, that expectation, it was almost the antithesis of like,
right,
don't get it.
Don't get it.
Right.
Expect nothing of you.
Yeah. And God, it made it easy.
Oh, so easy.
So easy. And I think it's such a tale for what we are seeing. We see it in bits and pieces, but at the end of the day, it was this walk through life. And you go, you flash forward it was even the education system. I don't know if where we're at now in the timeline, but at school, like, did I study?
No.
Ever.
Right.
And but next thing you know, I'm in the next grade.
Right.
And I'm in the next grade. I'm like, God, you really don't have to do much here.
I'm just punching the clock.
I'm just punching the clock, hanging out with some friends, riding my bike. Shout out to Mike Parks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the wheels fall off the wagon.
Are we at age 14 yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I jump on the airplane. I fly the coop, head south with the birds to the University of Arizona, and leave you in the midst of 6411 View Street.
Shoot. Yeah. And so I guess that puts me at about 12, 13, which is crazy because I've got a 13-year-old.
I know.
Talk about like the bar is really low for all my kids. But at that time, let's see here. Now I've already been arrested once for stealing. I'm 12, 13 at this time at Sacagawea because the other schools weren't good enough, and I had to it was like, oh, you're going to be uncomfortable at this school. Go to this school.
Right. This one's too hard. They're not being fair to you.
Right. Oh.
So
absolutely.
Change schools.
Like, I can't deal, right? And granted, at this time, I'm kind of a train wreck, right? Like, yeah.
You're not high performing.
No, I am completely not high performing. And I remember being at Sacagawea in this weird school, new kid.
Which would have been middle school too.
This is that space where they don't, like, all my kids like 9th grade, but this was that
6, 7, 8.
Yeah. So
7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9. Yeah, junior high.
Yes.
So this is junior high.
Junior high. Okay. And sitting in there and truly like just I've got no sort of sense of self. Like I didn't know who I was because you like what you heard. I was never given an opportunity to get any scars. Right.
You never did anything hard.
No.
You quit everything.
Yeah.
And were encouraged to do so.
Facts. I got hurt a lot. I was clumsy, right? Like, they knew me by first name in the ER, but at the end of the day, I didn't have an identity. And to high-performing kids, even at that age, they have identities are being formed, and those that don't aren't the good kids. Right? Like, those are the ones that are lost in the minutia of we're all sort of broken. Now, most of those kids came from fairly, very low income, broken, poverty-stricken homes. And here I am coming from like 10,000 square foot house, on paper, it looks like, oh, he's got everything. But I can't resonate with middle class. I definitely can't resonate with high functioning people. Right. But my jam was with like, you're broken and hate everything. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. I can't stand self. and you think you hate me, oh, I hate me more.
Yeah.
Right? And that became my sort of identity for really the first time in that junior high. And next thing you know, I'm hanging out with horrible people. And it turns out, I act like I was the angel walking around. No.
I was hanging out with horrible people, and I was one.
And I was one as well. It turned out really, and it was funny because it was that time that I learned that if I could hurt someone, I felt good.
Yeah.
I felt like I had power for the first time, right? Like, oh gosh, look at me. I mean, it's so true. Like, you're gonna get some raw stuff coming out of this because, I mean, we're just throwing it on the table. But that was that moment, this entire childhood of never having an identity, always being catered for, never having to do it. I can't remember a chore.
Right. You have no expectations.
Nothing. And then I meet these people, and there's a thread of sort of almost anarchy, violence, and just this out of control. We're just all broken, but we can't show any sort of vulnerability, so we manifest. It becomes virtually all ego, right? Like these kids just running at 100 miles an hour without any direction and don't care about rules, don't care about law, don't care about anything, right? And that first time that I was put in a situation where it was like, you've got to fight, turns out I had a lot of anger in me, right? And I was good at fighting, and that became an identity, and I felt so, for that first time, like, oh, I'm better than that guy because I hurt him. And that filled me with this just intense gratification and satisfying, like, I can do this, right? And of course, suspension, so
then we go down the dark and twisty path.
Right. Now we're heading in there. I mean, we're
violent.
We're violent, and
we're dropping out of school. We're doing
selling drugs. So I hadn't really started doing drugs in junior high. I was selling them though. Yeah. Right? Like, they had them, but there was something inside me. It was like, don't do. But money's cool. And again, it wasn't even about the money.
Right.
It was the thrill of being able to do something that was wrong. And it was just an F you to everything. Right. And I got 13, 14 years old, and was hanging out with a guy, and his older brother shows up, and we're at his apartment. We're like some just sleazy apartment. And like, any viewer's like, well, where was mom and dad at? Like, who knows? Right? I have no idea. I know that I would always get a hug and say how great I was every time I would see, a parent. And then it was like, all right, keep doing what you're doing. But I'm sitting in this apartment, and the older brother shows up, and he walks into the bathroom, and he comes out and he looks at me, and he was like, you do cocaine, right? And I go, yeah, like,
of course.
I mean,
because I'm 13.
They call me cocaine guy. Yeah. And he was like, there's some in the bathroom, you can have some. And I remember walking in there, and I closed the door behind, and I'm staring at this like powder on the back of a toilet. Like, what a beautiful setting, right? And I was like, okay, I've seen the shows. Like, I know the movie. Like, and there was a straw sitting there.
I saw Fast Times at Ridgemont.
I'm sure there was Coke in that movie, right? Like, boobs and Coke, right? Like, that became my mantra through high school. But that moment, it was like, okay. And I just dove in. And I remember it was kind of this surreal, like I said, I mean, don't. And in that moment.
Over the waterfall. And
every hair. The moment I did it, it was like, welcome. Yeah. You found it. We've been waiting. Like, the doors are open, and I can remember the instant it was done, I was like, oh, this was the missing ingredient. Like, this makes everything okay. You know what I mean? Like, now I don't care. Right. It took every bit of me that was hurting and crying and wanted help and wanted someone just to fucking like just help. Nah, yeah. I don't need help.
Right. Now I can just paper it right over.
Yeah, I've gotta, and it was, I remember it being so, the whole idea of that this is bad, and that was what's so, I talk to, people now about this, but it's like, there's all, I grew up in the Just Say No era, right? And Nancy Reagan was, right, yes. I mean, just say no, this is your brain on drugs. Like, that was always this, like, it's bad, it's horrible, it's horrible, it's horrible. And the moment I did it, it was like, oh, they're all lying.
Right, this is amazing.
This is amazing.
Right.
They're all full of it because or they've never done it.
Right. They're idiots.
They're idiot, right? Like, everyone that's been telling me this obviously haven't been here because this is incredible.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, push the snowball over the hill. And it was so funny because throughout, now, I mean, where do you go from there? It went from, 5 different high schools. I remember, now I'm flash forward, I'm 15 years old. And of course, I'm well in. I remember driving to Seattle selling drugs to the lawyers and doctors, which was crazy, right? Because everyone's telling me, hey, go to college, do all this, get good grades, so you can be them.
Right.
And I'm like, they're calling me.
Right. They're looking to score off of me.
Yeah. Like, again, that became the mindset of, oh, they're all lying. The whole show is a myth, and it's a big bunch of liars out there that don't, for some reason, they just don't want to tell me the truth because all of this is good. Because now I've got this tunnel vision, right? I can't see all of the chaos that's happening. Everything was falling apart. And I've always had sort of the cute smile, right? And they're like, hey, everything's great, right?
You've always had a joyful heart.
Facts.
Yeah. Always.
And I can remember even when,
So you were great at faking it.
Great. Oh, the chameleon.
Yeah.
Oh, put me in any situation, right?
Yeah.
Like, Shannon would come home from college, and I remember just being out of my mind.
And let's be clear. Like, it's funny. The numbers of times Shannon came home from college basically can be counted on one finger.
Right. Like that train wreck.
I'm like, yeah, I don't need to do that again.
Totally. Yeah. And I had but listen, I'm not sure where, you go from a kid that's got, I was doing like a bottle of Jack a day. And now we're in high school now, so this would be like, shout out to Decatur.
Like, have we got to where the decision was made to get you your own apartment?
No, that would have been high school number 3.
Yeah, let's go flash forward 4. To high school, wherever that was.
We had like a stadium moment, Decatur. Then we can't forget being completely shot up and then being shipped off to Eastern Washington.
That's right.
So now mind you, the new guy, so car gets full of bullet holes, whatever. Long story short, whatever. I end up being shipped to my mom's house in Eastern Washington, pulling into good old Quincy. Like, I think school population
land of unlimited opportunity.
Right.
Per the city sign.
Yes. Here comes the new kid in his Honda Accord full of bullet holes, shaved head.
Right.
And I pull in.
Like big as a house. Just pumped up on drugs.
Gross.
So gross.
And day 1, fight in the backyard, fight in the back of the school. I come walking in and I've got this chip on my shoulder, and now I'm in full addiction. Right. And mom has been gone for
a couple
years. Right. So
living in Eastern Washington, seeing you when she would come over.
Kind of, maybe, right?
Everybody's very, very dysfunctional.
Oh, and at that point, she had no control. So now I'm off the rails at this point. And I can remember these moments of like, you can't leave. And I was like, what? Do you have anything to share to me? But I'll tell you, I flash back to that moment. And I'm speaking of one specific moment where I had probably been up for 4 days. And because now I've graduated, because cocaine was way too expensive. So now we're into like manufacturing massive amounts of methamphetamine.
Ugh.
Right? Like crack and meth are now my jam.
Yeah.
Like that's my superpower. And I can remember this moment, and Mom was just crying, and I had a bunch of guys with me, and it was time to leave, and I was walking out the door, and she was just like begging me to stay. And I can remember George.
Yeah.
And I mean, my father was such an incredible human that just didn't know how to set boundaries. Right? Like, didn't know how to parent, but knew how to be an incredible human.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's a great way to put it.
Didn't
know how to parent, but was an incredible human.
And I think it goes back to our original, like how we started.
Right.
It's like, why are we the way we are? Because we've always like
we have incredible humans. We have an incredible mother and incredible father.
Mom, incredible human, really bad parent, but was an incredible, and was always the cheerleader. But in that moment, I can remember just like try to stop me. I can remember hitting Mom. Yeah. And I walked out, and for the first time, I got to see what a parent looks like. Because I remember George followed me out, and he was like, and George was a big guy.
Yeah.
I mean, football coach. Right. Yeah. Like, George was a big guy, and I can remember him taking me out. And, of course, I've got these, like, hyena friends that are, like, running to the car, just ridiculous. And he stopped me, and he had this, like, and I, it's funny, I don't remember the conversation, but I remember the feeling. Yeah. And he spoke to me like someone that was trying to be, like, to set a boundary. And, like, you can't do this. And I was like, whoa, what do you? And he was a guy. He was a dad. Right. And I mean, throughout everyone I'm hanging out with, there are no dads. Yeah. Right? Dads weren't existent, or they were vicious asses.
Right.
Right. That we avoided.
Yeah.
But I remember that moment where he gave me, like, it was the first like parenting moment. And I can remember pausing. Ooh, the pause. We can get into that. I embrace the pause now. But it was a pivotal moment that I remember pausing and going, what just happened? Like, through my mind was gone. Everything was crazy. But and then carry on. But it was a moment, like those seeds that get planted. And I think that's another thing that we talk about. Because throughout our life, all of these seeds, man, from you pouring seeds, Pops, Mom, George, but it wasn't the right season for them to grow. Mm-hmm. Like, they were all there, they were in the soil, but they just weren't in the right environment at the time. And then, so, Quincy came to an end, and I know, but I made it through. Because we're in that era.
But we haven't graduated yet.
No, so I'm a junior at this point, and now, and again, this was during that weird time, and not that we're not in a weird time with our like school system, but this was during that time where like literally just keep them going down the freaking
early
aisle.
90s.
Yeah, like everyone passes.
Yeah.
Like as long as you just go, right? And so then now we're at the get your own apartment. Right. Okay. So obviously it didn't work out at Mom's.
Most amazing parenting decision of all time.
So full-blown raging addict, and I am now on high school number 4. And the bright idea was, I know what we need to do. You can't live here because you have way too many people that are trying to kill you.
Right.
You can't live there because, well, you've completely ruined everything in good old Quincy.
Right.
And so, fresh start. I'm going to buy you your own apartment in Enumclaw, Washington. Yeah. Oh, rent. Rent an apartment in Enumclaw, Washington.
Because we had fond memories in our early childhood of spending time in Enumclaw with our favorite Aunt Kathy and our cousins. Like, it was a really happy childhood memory, and you thrived there. You loved it as a little kid. You loved going to Enumclaw.
I was like 3 years old.
I know where he'll be saved. Enumclaw. Let's get him an apartment.
Own apartment. Yeah. Here.
No
Here's
parents.
the key.
Remember
no parents.
That question of like, where are the parents when they're doing cocaine on the table? Yeah. Parents who rented the apartment and handed you the keys and like,
gone. I mean, I think of that now, and I'm Like,
In what
how
world?
much do you have to drink for that to be a good idea?
How hammered are you?
Right, like, how am I the only one using drugs right now? And I can't even imagine what you thought, like, when you heard it.
I was just like, we've talked about this. I was in save myself mode. I was like, I knew I couldn't save you if I didn't save myself. And saving myself meant I got to graduate. I got to get 2 degrees. I got to get a job. I got to get myself out of this because otherwise I'll never be able to pull you out.
Facts. Oh, right. 100%. Yeah.
So I was just laser focused on the future.
Right.
And a little bit like when, I would hear bits and pieces of this news because I wasn't coming home. I wasn't there. I didn't ever see any of this up close and personal. I would honestly just block it out. Like I just would let it wash over me. I wouldn't, and I wish I could say that I would pray about it or I would reflect on it. I probably would send a card, which is
we talked about that.
That was my coping or my attempt at, I don't know, helping would be to send a card, write a note. Like
shooting flares over the mountain, right? Yeah. Like it's going to be okay.
I would hear this stuff and just send cards. I mean, the stacks.
Oh, so it wasn't long ago. I think I sent you a message because we got I have boxes from this past that when Pops died, it was I have this, I still don't go through it. It's just weird, right?
Too weird.
And I remember going through it, maybe less than a year ago, and I found all these cards from you, and they were all written the same, it's gonna be okay, hang in there.
Yeah.
Like every card was that little kitten hanging from the tree. Just hang in there.
Just hang in there. You got this. Just get to the other side.
Right. I don't remember. I don't even know if I ever. I don't know if I saw them then. It may have been the first time ever reading them, or really reading them for sure. But the narrative through card after card was just this constant, you were just shooting flares.
Right. It was.
I can't be on the battleground right now because I'm working out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it'll be okay. Mm-hmm. Just stick with it. But Enum Claw didn't work. It turns out, as much as the audience is I bet this is when it worked out.
Yeah, that was the turn.
He got his own apartment and just got some wow.
And he watched Martha Stewart.
It's my time to shine. I can remember it was and so they enrolled me in this now I'm a senior, and I remember it was it turned into just drug den central. And by this time in my addiction,
so
right?
Not funny.
I don't even have friends. I have. Except for one guy that I met who had never done drugs before, but I needed I needed to feel like what I was doing was okay. So just like a vampire, I brought him into this world. And now this kid who had never done drugs is getting high with me. And he's having that bathroom moment that I had at 14, right? Yeah. And he's like, oh wow, they all are liars. Yeah, they are. You're not going to school. And I can remember at one point, I hadn't been to school, go to class,
right?
And he had this long. I remember this bad, drugged out talk that we were having. He was like, "You really need to go to class," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to class today." And we had this go team moment, and it was now we're gonna turn it around.
High school 4 in my apartment. Go to class.
Mind you, I haven't been in
years.
Well, no, this is the Enum Claw. So they enrolled me. I think I went for a week, and then I was like, well, that's dumb, right? And so now I'm just locked in an apartment getting high for a month. And now it's we have a go team moment. And he's like, you got to go to class. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to class. And I show up to class, and I walk in to math class, right? And I sit down, and the teacher's like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm in this class. You've not been here. I'm like, listen.
I'm here now.
I'm here now. Let's do this thing. And I remember him writing the problem up on the board. And now, mind you, these are seniors looking at this guy that they've never seen before that has got to look like death run over, right? And they're like, who is this nightmare that decided to stroll it? This is preschool shooting, so there was no fear of that. This is the weird guy just showed up. And then the teacher was and of course I'm giving him shit. I'm like, you're right. And he's like, all right, smart guy, why don't you come up here and do this problem? And he wrote it on the chalkboard. And I was like, what are you? I was like, no. And he goes, get up here. And we had this like moment. And I walked and I just grabbed my stuff. And I was like, well, that was my. And I walked out of the classroom. Like, I would love to hear from one of those students that remembers this moment.
Like, what just happened?
What just happened? Like, weird guy shows up, sits down, gets called up by the teacher, and then leaves.
Yeah.
And that's when I promptly I walked from that classroom to the office and dropped out my senior year.
Yeah, of that high school.
Of that high school. So, and it was, I remember a kid being in the office, and he was like, who are you? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm dropping out. And he like had this he had a cheerleading moment. He was like, no, man, you could do it. It's your senior year. Why would you drop out? And I was like, let's not play parent now. Like, we're having a moment. and I did. I dropped out of high school. And I don't know. And then it gets kind of weird. Like, I don't know what happens. Like, I don't even know.
I don't know how you got to East Tennessee into a trailer.
Right. I mean, seriously, the audience is like, am I watching, like, Leaving Las Vegas right now?
Yeah, pretty much.
But so I drop out. It must have been like, I don't know, October, November. Yeah. And now I'm dropped out of high school. And then there's this time that maybe I mean, welcome to addiction. And I'm just constantly trying to forget and going down that path. And then all of a sudden, Pops is like, we're moving to Bristol. Tennessee. Okay.
Yeah. And to catch everybody up, Dad was born and raised in Newport, Tennessee, so had, obviously connection to the South, had pined to live in the South our entire life, hated living in Washington State, and had just decided, he knew that you were having a rough go.
Like, things aren't working. It's got to be Washington.
Yeah, it's got to be Washington State's fault. Now it's the state's fault. So the next, idea is we're going to pack up and we're going to move to Tennessee.
Yeah, and here we
are.
And
I remember, this is where I remember this information would reach me and I would just shake my head, send another Hallmark. Like, I don't know. I was sleeping under my desk, working investment banking hours. Like, I can't help you. I don't know why you all are going to Bristol, Tennessee, but. So then you moved to East Tennessee, and it was just an absolute freaking disaster.
Oh, it's such a disaster. I mean, because now I've got to deal with, like, for the first couple of months, having my drugs come through the mail, which was awkward to try to get that worked out. And Pops has surrendered at this point to, like, where I'm at in life. Right. Like, and now he isn't, like, you take the
dropped out of school.
Yeah, it was like, we're getting you through school. And I've got the bottom floor, like, there's beer everywhere. I got like a little lab going in the I mean, it's just, but
so gross.
But every time I'd come home from school, he'd be sitting there in the lawn chair, and it was like, we've got to do your homework. And so I would sit down, and I would, like, do it. Like, and I would spend this, like, time.
Was this for your GED? Or?
No, I graduated high school.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I lost track. So we graduated high school from
Tennessee High
in Bristol, Tennessee.
Yeah, and I got on the track team, which I was notorious for the spin, throw, puke, because I was so hungover and strung out. But there was a girl on the track team, and it was a thing. It seemed like I could throw a discus apparently, right? But no,
So you did homework. Dad did your homework.
Dad did homework. Yeah, I had a tutor that would sit there that would not only try to help me learn, but would help me, like, okay, just give me the paper. Like, here, can you write that?
Right.
and I graduated. Graduated from Tennessee, and that was
High School 5.
Yes, High School 5, and then the plan was, then it was taught. Well, so then Pops moves back to Washington because he's like, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I did my job.
Right. You graduated.
I graduated. And, then it's just bad active addiction. And gosh, I was running all over the East Coast. Now I'm strung out and homeless. Now I'm living, I remember, like, eating out of trash cans and, like, and I had a car, but I would like end up, be in Florida, ruin everything, get in a fight, do something illegal, and then have to run away. So I'd run. I went to Tahoe.
Right.
Remember the Tahoe excursion? Got to Tahoe, ruined everything, run away, and so that was kind of the rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah.
It was like
bounced around.
Yeah,
and out of UT for a minute.
Oh yeah, I think that lasted a semester, and then they said they put me in front of like a group of my peers, but none of them were at the party. Like I remember
these are not my people.
I remember getting it like in a courtroom of my peers, and I remember looking at all of them like, this is not fair.
Yeah. And then you wound up in Tucson.
Then I ran up,
because again, like I had graduated from Arizona, and
exactly.
we're grasping for straws,
and we're skipping over the trailer in Hickory Tree.
Yeah,
so
going.
Just keep going. So now we're in
lots
Tucson.
of addiction, lots of ugliness.
Exactly. Yeah, my story is no different. It's just
than every
a
other
wild
addict.
ride. That's exactly it. It's
bad tattoos.
I mean, it's kind of judgy.
kind of judgy from the Girl Scout.
I'm telling you. So now I'm in Tucson, and let's flash. I mean,
right.
Let's get to the rainbow, right? Because this doesn't end with on a bad note, because
you did in a trailer park with a Bacardi bat tattoo on your
I did end up with
but you didn't die there.
I didn't.
All right, so now you're in Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson, Arizona. I think we just flash forward to December 20th, 1999. Now I'm super, I'm a violent, strung out addict. I mean, that was really kind of my label that I carried with pride, which was so weird. Mm-hmm. Like I look back on that, I felt like I was so cool, right? Like I mean, this is pre-Instagram, but I felt like I had a really good story.
Right. I got millions of followers,
right.
and tons of likes, and
all in my head while I'm alone.
Badass.
Right, completely alone. Right, completely alone. That I am the center of the universe, and still thriving off being the tough guy. And I remember, I'm driving down Speedway, and this minivan was next to me. I was in this like broken down old Ranger. And I had a couple people that had picked up at the bar with me, and this minivan like swerves into my lane, and it just set me off. Like I was always looking to someone to hurt, and he did.
What do you always say? Hurt people, hurt people.
Hurt people, hurt. Absolutely. And he kind of drifted. It didn't hit me. He just kind of got near me, and I literally drove him into oncoming traffic across 2 lanes into a Shell station. And I jumped out of this truck. He was just an older dude, mid-30s, and I just start wearing him out through the window. And I'm just letting loose. I mean, it's like I wanted to kill him.
Right. And
cops pull in, they hit me, throw me in cuffs. And this guy, God, I mean, talk about angels everywhere. I'm sitting there in handcuffs. I got cops all around me, and I'm staring at this dude who's, like I said, he's a guy driving a minivan, right?
Right.
And he looks at me, and he's bleeding, and he's hurting, and the cops are like, "You're gonna book this guy," and he stops everything, and he looks at me, and he goes, "No, I don't want to prosecute him. I just want to go home to my family. I just want to see." Oh.
Like he thought he was going to die. He thought you were going to kill him.
Yeah. And in that moment, he just said, "I just want to see my family." And it was so odd, because in that moment, it was like, I talk about those angels everywhere. It was a God moment. But for me, in that moment, I was like, oh, I'm a horrible person. Yeah. Like all of the BS and all the ways that I was able to con people and be a chameleon and make people laugh and make people smile, and it's a facade that I've created. You're a bad guy, and you don't need to be here. Like, time to check out. The cops booked me because my truck was running, and so they hit me with like a DUI, but they just released me. They took me down to some station and released me. And I can remember being in the cops station. It's now it's probably 9, 10 o'clock at night, And I was like, the whole time I didn't care at all because I was so dialed in. You have no idea you're talking to a dead man right now.
Right.
Like there's, okay.
Dead men walking.
Yeah, like whatever you're doing,
Right,
just can we finish this?
Right.
And they did, and they sent me on my way, and I walked back to this just trash apartment, and I got in there, and I had all kinds of pills, right? And so ate all this Vicodin, I just the whole bottle, just swallowing it. And I used to wake up every morning with good old Crow whiskey because I was highfalutin, and I ate all this. And I remember I had a bottle of codeine. I drank the entire bottle of codeine. And then I laid in this bed and I finished off like a fifth of Old Crow, and I was like, I've never in my life done this. I mean, that is got to be it. And I can remember laying in that bed, and the last things I remember is just like, tell everyone I'm sorry. It's not their fault. Because that was broken, man. Right. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I know.
This isn't you,
yeah,
right? Like,
right.
Pops, Moms, Shannon, everyone I've hurt. I'm sorry. It's not you, right? Like, I was just not meant to be here. And then I fell asleep. Yeah, and golly, then I woke up, which was crazy. I was so mad.
Yeah.
Oh, fish. Like, and you know what's funny is I don't know how I vividly remember going like, I can't even effing do that, right? Like I can't even kill myself, right? And I'm shaking, I'm foaming at the mouth, I've defecated all over it is ugly, and I was like, okay, this isn't working. I know a sure way. Like, all right, so and I crawled, like I can't even move. Everything hurts. DTs, I'm shaking, it's terrible. And I crawled to this like couch, and I had my Kimber 45, and I remember grabbing it, and I was like, time, like this. Where do you go from here? Right. Like I've already made the decision. It's over. F you, God. Right? Like enough. Quit playing with me. I'm done. And I have locked, loaded, cocked, and that gun touched my teeth, and I was pulling the trigger, and the phone rang, and this is like that, like I always feel like it's those God moments where God gets a little chuckle, because it was a total, like, gun in mouth, phone rings, and the first thought was like, oh, well, that could be interesting, like.
I gotta get the phone.
Like, that could be important. Right? Yeah, 100%. Phone rings while the gun's in my mouth. And I pick up the phone, and I hear this voice, and it's my sister, who never calls. Like, it just, who are you going to call? Like, when are you going to? Like,
right.
Just didn't. And there she is, the first words I heard. What's going on? Something's wrong. Like, so nonchalant. Like, I just got a feeling. Like, something's going on. What's wrong? And the dike, I don't even know. All I remember is just throwing up on you. Like, and this. And I was just trying to, like, get it out. Like, get this. And I just rattled off. I'm so done. Like, and I remember telling you I was going to kill and you were like, well, don't kill yourself.
So this is...
like, I mean, maybe not the counselor 101 moment. Like, I don't think you had been trained by suicide prevention, because it was a whole lot of like, are you effing kidding me? I'm busy, and that's not part of your story.
There are so many moments where it's like I'm so right there, and you say those words, and the first words out of my mouth were, you must be fucking kidding me. I do not have time for this. Put the goddamn gun down. You are not gonna kill yourself. Not today, not ever. And I just berated you, like up and down. There was not an ounce of like fear, sympathy, empathy. I was just fucking pissed off.
And it's so funny because I don't, like, literally all I heard was, what's wrong? Are you okay? And then I remember I got a number. Take this number down and start writing.
Hold on a minute. I got to get on the other line. Put the phone on, get on my other line. Google really fast. Like, I need a.
This is pre-Google. I think you were. It was like Ask Jeeves.
I don't know what I was doing. I don't know where I got it.
You were on a computer.
I was definitely on a computer.
Yeah,
I was in my office.
Yeah, you were on a computer.
I was on a computer. I got to, Alcoholics Anonymous was all I could think of. I was like, I need Alcoholics Anonymous right now because I wouldn't have known NA. I need AA number right now. And they had a hotline number. And I was like, got back on. I was like, do not kill yourself. Hang up this phone and call this number, and I'm calling you back in 5 minutes. And if you don't answer this phone, so help me God, I'm getting on the next plane, and I'm gonna kill you. Click.
And you told me to write. You told me to start writing. I write because I still have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did. Yeah,
start writing.
Yeah, and it's funny.
Call this number. Start writing.
Mm-hmm.
I was screaming at you.
Oh, we hear what we want, right? We hear what we need in the moment. I heard it's gonna be okay. No. It was, and I did. I got the phone number.
You called.
I called, and I can remember this voice. It was a girl.
Because there must have been an element, and you don't really remember it at the time, but I was really scary.
Yeah.
You were like, well, damn.
Just do. I needed someone to tell me what to do.
Tell me what to do.
Right? Like, I think it's what I thrived my entire life for. Because when you're the badass fighting guy, no one's telling you what to do.
No one's telling you.
No.
Telling you what to do.
I create, from birth until that moment, I had created this narrative where no one could. I didn't allow people to tell me what to do.
Ever.
I'd been trained, right? I'd been conditioned not to be told what to do, and that my world was this, and that led me to that moment. Yeah. And I picked up this phone. I can remember this lady answered, and they, gosh, shout out to Tucson, Arizona AA hotline.
Oh man, I love you.
They're the greatest.
They're the greatest.
And
thank you, God.
Yeah. And she goes, can you, her first words, can you stay clean for the next 15 minutes? And I said, I don't want to live in 15 minutes. And she goes, okay, I know where you're at. There's a McDonald's right down the way. I need you to start walking there. I'm going to have someone come in that direction. They're going to meet you. I mean, stranger. Never, this lady's not paid. Yeah. This is a volunteer.
Because I was a full plane right away.
Right. Oh, yeah. And I can remember I started scribbling because I was told to do it. And I wrote this, I don't want to live, blah, 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 blah. I took a picture of myself.
Yeah.
And
I hate that picture. I hate that picture. Love that picture.
That picture is so...
so dark.
And I can remember when I took the picture, I said, if I'm back, if I develop that film, and I see that picture, and I am living the life that I'm living right now. Mind you, the phone call's been made, the cat's out of the box. And I think the cat had always been out of the box to some degree, but now I owned it. You know what I mean? I've told on myself. Yeah. And at that moment, I took that picture. I made a vow with God at that moment. If I develop that and I see that picture and I'm back here, you don't freaking hesitate. You end it. You don't have that right anymore. So then I start putting on clothes. Now, mind you, I've I smell, I've defecated, but I'm not going to take a shower.
Right.
So I start piling on sweatpants. And I've got 3 pairs of sweatpants, a sweatshirt, gloves, a toboggan. I look like the kid off A Christmas Story, walking to a McDonald's. I don't want to live. I get to McDonald's and I'm sitting there in this booth just shaking and just a wreck. And this guy taps me on the shoulder. And I remember I lost my mind for a second. He taps me and I just freak out. Just kind of this weird, I was in just a psychotic space, right? And I remember him smiling. Almost this all right, kid, I've been here, but this isn't my first rodeo. And he looks at me and he goes, don't worry, I'm here to save your life. Oh, I could just start bawling.
I know.
Right? And that was his opening line. And I was like, what? How? You can't, right? And he says, get in the car. We're going to a meeting. And took me to a meeting. That was my first AA 12-step meeting. And that was then gosh,
on the winter solstice.
Right, on the
born.
December 21st, I was born. And and then these, again, strangers, people that aren't paid, they've got nothing. I mean, I'm a mean, hate everyone, train wreck, and these kids. I mean, I was what, 20, 21? Yeah, and these kids had an apartment, and they took me to their. So I kind of got handed off from like one 12-step guy to the next. They're like, and this guy, well, hey, and they kept me under their wing, because they had to live their life that day, right? Like so. They just passed me off throughout the day, and I ended up with these kids, and they took me to their apartment, and now I'm hurting. Like now I don't have dope in me.
Right.
So like I'm used to shooting dope at this time and being, but my body, I'm shaking, my skin is like tightening up, I'm throwing up, I'm just a drainer. And they brought me to their apartment, they put me in this room that had nothing in it. And they were like, you're just gonna be here for a couple days. And I destroyed that room. Oh, they didn't have any drywall on it. I mean, I wore that place out. Shit in the corner. I mean, I was ugly. And you know what? They didn't care. And I can remember them walking in, and they would like give me some water. I remember peanut butter, like massive amounts of peanut butter and sugar. Like they were just, and never once were they like, F this guy.
Right.
They just love me. I just love this train wreck, and they're like, just it's okay, stick with it, keep just hurt. And I remember that too. Like, feel this, right? Like we don't have that. Like you've got to remember this. It better hurt. It better be. This is hell. Welcome. You never have to come back.
Right.
Right. You never have to come back here. And you flash forward, from there, they had, I don't think it was they had enough of me, but December 21st, 22nd, 23rd, then I fly to San Francisco. And that's when I'll let you, like, here comes brother off the plane. Like, I don't know what's going on. And
out of your mind.
Out of my mind.
But sober.
Oh, yeah.
And what was, we skipped over, I had gotten married. We'd gotten married. My husband and I got married October 30th, and you were clean for the month of October.
Clean for your wedding.
Clean for my wedding.
Clean for your wedding.
Okay, so not the whole month, just the day.
Yes. I stayed clean, and I thought that was such a victory.
Such a victory, yeah. So, and I was under the false narrative of, like, you were clean, which is why I said you were clean for the month of October.
Right,
in my mind, he had started to get, like, you're just going to be able to do that. Oh, I'm going to get clean after I've been a complete addict for 10 years. And then you came to San Francisco. And the only thing I could think of was, like, he needs a project. He needs a project. And it was the millennial.
Right.
Because I got married in 99.
Yeah.
So it was the millennial.
Yep. Yeah. This is December 21st, 1999. So you're right. Wow. I forgot.
Yeah. And so I'm like, we were going to have a big New Year's Eve party. And I was like, he needs a project that's going to take him several days. Like, he needs something to do. And I went and I bought as much stereo equipment because he had been into, like, music and, he had all these ridiculous cars with these big subwoofers and all this crap. So I went and bought the most complicated stereo system I could find with, like, the subwoofer and the amp and the thing and the cords and I didn't need any of this, right? I was perfectly happy with my boombox. But I was like, he needs a multi-day project.
Right. And I can remember that's Lorena McKenna playing nonstop. Like, I had Lorena McKenna and wires. Like, okay.
Everywhere. And these giant
speakers. And I'm pretty sure I scraped your floor. Like, I don't even know what Matt was doing at this time other than, like, whatever, freaks. Like, I can't even, hearing his perspective would be hilarious because he was in, like, I can't even imagine, like, your brother's coming. Oh.
Right, like, I barely met him.
Right.
He was at our wedding, but before that, he didn't spend any time with you.
No.
I mean, you came to the wedding, that was probably, like, you met him, but barely.
Oh, and that day, I mean, those pictures at your wedding, my face is, like, bright red, and I'm like, I'm doing good. But, yeah, and so, and that was, I was there for...
And you went to meetings when you were there.
Yep, went to meetings, and then it was before New Year's that I flew up to Washington.
Yep.
and then it was
Meetings and more
that was
meetings on
it.
meetings.
Meetings
On meetings.
That's exactly 90 days. Get a sponsor. Start working. I mean,
you would go to meetings like morning to night,
absolutely
like back to back to back to back.
It was that's what they told me to do.
Yeah, that was your job.
Right. And everyone that I was looking at in these rooms, the ones that were telling me to do it, they had jobs and they had smiles and they were like, wow, is that real? Like, can I get, this is what I have to do. I became a robot. I mean, I was an absolute 12-step robot. You tell me what to do, I'm going to do it. Yes. Okay. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And that was my path. And then we can do a quick, like,
oh, I need to take a break.
I know, December 21st is coming up. It'll be 23 years.
23 years.
23 years.
And I'm still married.
Yeah. Yeah, now I am. Oh my gosh. Wow, and I have kids. I know, that's like, we made it here. That was a journey. What are we doing on time?
10 minutes.
Oh, goodness. I don't know where you
I
take.
think that's chapter 1.
I think that's chapter 1. Yeah, because there's so much more.
Exactly. We're gonna give a preview of what other things we hope to talk about, which is we want to talk about our faith. We want to talk about our faith journey in God. We want to talk about mindset. We want to talk about ruthless positivity. We want to talk about family. We want to talk about forgiveness.
Gratitude.
All day long.
All day.
Get
all
grateful.
Day. Absolutely. A grateful addict will never relapse.
We want to talk about being nice.
Mm-hmm. The pause.
We want to talk about the pause.
Oh, embrace the pause. Take a moment to just breathe.
And we want to talk about the power of believing not only in yourself, but of believing in someone.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming up. We're
going
to have some fun.
I love it. So good. So good.
I love you.
I love you. All right. Thank you. Woo! Holy shit. Bro, I feel like I just did a workout.
Totally. I was like, wait a minute.